Right, welcome along. This is episode 6 of the ShrimpNet, the podcast of the Shrimps Trust, which I'm sure you already know. Today, joining Joel and myself to discuss all the latest goings and comings and goings on the field and off the field at the Mazuma. We have our friendly neighbourhood chief executive stroke. Well, I think his wife thinks he's the janitor because he's there that much. It's our boardroom guru, Rod Taylor. Thanks for joining us, Rod.
You're welcome, David.
And from the dressing room, we've had the club captain, now we've got the team captain. It's new signing and now new team captain, Donald Love. Don, welcome along.
No, cheers for having me.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good for you to be here. Don't forget, listen to this on the coach and put it on the speakers. So we start where we'll start with the bad news. I want to talk about MK Dons. We lost 4-0 to them in a home game last season and created numerous chances, and I thought 4-0 flattered them. Last Saturday, similar really, Joel, wasn't it? I thought 4-0 slightly flattered them. They took the chances, we didn't. That was the difference between the two sides. Wasn't as simple as that, I know, but when we changed things second half, for that sort of 10-15 minutes, I thought we had a real good go, and if Jensen Weir's shot had not hit the post and come out and hit the post and gone in, it might have been a different game, but it's all ifs and buts.
Yeah, I thought it was one of those in the first half. There wasn't looking like too much to give, but you know what the MK Dons are like. They'll keep moving you around and look for a gap. And I thought with Dean Lewington, despite looking nothing like a footballer, he is fantastically intelligent with his movement, and he's technically very good. And the way he was able to kind of step forward into areas and help create space further up the pitch probably contributed. And then obviously you've got the movement and finishing ability of somebody like Will Grigg in the box, which is really, really good for this level. And, those kind of moves have combined, and, we found ourselves 2-0 down with, I don't think they created loads, but they were two decent chances. Obviously, we've had that Ryan Delaney header that looked like it was definitely going in. And then the keeper kind of popped out from nowhere from the angle I was sitting from. But and then the second half, changed it up. We kind of had to, going, I think it was 4 at the back with Kieran Phillips coming on for his debut, I thought looked impressive. And like you say, we looked really dangerous in that first kind of 10-15 minutes. I think even before the Jensen Weir chance, there's one where Phillips gets put through and his touch. I think it was pretty much his first touch of his entire Morecambe career. So it was just it just took him a little bit too near the keeper, and the keeper's come out and be able to close the angle quite quickly. And obviously, Weir's at the post, we're picking holes in them, we're kind of dragging them about. We've got runs in through midfield, but you got to take the chances, and when you don't, and when you're going forward like that, you've got to chase the game at 2-0 down, and then they might catch you on the break. And I think MK Dons made a substitution at half-time. The lad they brought on at half-time, I thought he was very effective on the break, and then what they were doing, and he caused us trouble, and we've conceded an extra 2 goals. But I think, that's the risk you're going to have to take, when you're 2-0 down. You've got to go for it a bit. It came close to paying off, didn't quite pay off, and we get hit in the break, but that's how it goes sometimes. But we had to give it a go in the second half. We didn't quite work out, but we move on to the next one.
Yeah, and I think it's a fair point you make that it probably was Phillips's first touch when he came on. But again, it goes down as our what I'm now calling our traditional one-on-one that we seem to miss every game, don't we? And the difference was obviously the lad who came on for them finished nicely to put them 3-0 up. And then did this, and they did the same again to put them 4-0 up. But a frustrating game to play in, Donald, because from a Morecambe perspective, we were pretty impressive going forward and created. I think we ended up with 15 shots. They ended up with 17 shots. So it just shows you that we had enough attacking intent, but it just wasn't our day, was it?
No, I think it was tough. Especially we thought we'd, coming off the back of the win at Rotherham, we thought, right, we'll go in here and. Well, I think we put a lot into that Rotherham game. And then obviously MK Dons, they've got a squad where they come in and make 6 changes from the midweek game. And I think first half you could just see they looked a bit sharper than us. We were a bit not sluggish but off the pace, and we can't do that at home. And to go in 2-0 down we've obviously shot ourselves in the foot, because then second half we've got to come out, which we did
we give it a good go. But obviously you leave yourself more open, like Joel said, in the second half. And if we put them chances away, it's a different game, but we didn't do it. And in the end, it's cost us and we've lost the game 4-0. But if you're actually at the game, it could have been a very different game looking at the start of the second half, because they actually didn't create much in the first half. It was obviously 2 goals where it was like, obviously Will Griggs just got across his man and then tapped him in. And then the second one, I think for the second one, I could have done a lot better anyway, personally, to stop the cross, but that's going to happen. And then obviously if we play like Will Griggs, he's going to punish us if we make a little mistake. But then obviously the second half's just frustrating because it could have been a completely different game.
So what did Derek say at half time in the dressing room? Because most of us, we were stood on the terraces and most of us stood behind the goal in the Barticard, the home end, were saying the one thing Derek will do is he will react and he will make changes. And I said straight away, they're probably going to be fairly drastic. We'll probably lose the back 5, go to a back 4, which Joel's already said we did. And it paid off because we all of a sudden, we went toe to toe with them 4 against their 4 in midfield. And all of a sudden, we were exploiting their spaces rather than vice versa. So was that Derek's plan, or was it just? I know what Derek's like in the fact that when he's attacked, when he goes on the front foot, he gives you freedom to express yourself, doesn't he? And say, get forward, get crosses in. Or is he more specific than that?
He always tells us to play with that freedom going forward, and we know what we can do with the ball. And I think we've been solid all year. I think it just. Obviously, he brought Kieran on at half time, which I can't remember who he took off, but he brought Jacob. Was it Jacob?
It was Jacob, yeah.
Jacob. And we obviously went to the 4, and that allowed us to stop their 3. Because I don't think Lewington came out with it once in the second half. If you look at
no, he probably didn't.
He was centre back, but it was like he was playing left mid first half. But obviously, the gaffer's seen that and he's changed it, and the changes have worked. And obviously, they've worked straight away, because we could have been, if Jensen scores that and then Kieran scores, it's 2-2 and it's a different game. And obviously it's just the way the game's gone, where we've pushed forward a bit and left ourselves a bit open. But that comes from us, where if we're pushing forward, we need to, on the pitch, we need to lock it off so they're not counter-attacking on us and nicking 2 goals. We've got to see that on the pitch and stop them counter-attacking.
I think there was there was a little bit of, well, whether you call it poor fortune or poor play, I don't know. But obviously, Usman got caught, sort of tripped over the ball and got caught in possession, and all of a sudden their sub Dennis is on and he's away, and it's like, and these are these things happen in games. You see that happening in the top leagues all over Europe. Somebody just treads on the ball, and all of a sudden, instead of being on the front foot. And that's what happened with Usman, wasn't it? We were pressing and we were pushing people forward, and Usman was like the back man with the ball, and all he had to do was spread it, lost it, and all of a sudden we're chasing shadows. And before you know it, and after that, you could see everybody literally thinking, I don't believe it. We've just had 15 minutes where we've absolutely battered him. We've had 3 decent chances and a couple of corners. And the first chance they've got, they've stuck it away. And that's why I said the difference between the 2 sides on the day was taking the chances. And really, it's been the kind of the story of the season, Rod, that, hasn't it?
Certainly has, David. And the strange thing about that game was, defensively, I think we've looked really solid this season. And it was just the opposite on Saturday, wasn't it? Whereas we created chances, didn't quite come off, but defensively we weren't. I think we're a little bit more fragile than we have been. But I really do believe we've got a basis to build on here. I think we need to be positive. We need to get to grips with this, and get the fans behind you. I keep saying this, Donna. Get the fans behind us. Get behind the boys. Make some noise. And I'm still very optimistic about the season ahead.
And so, looking at that, like I said, we ended up, we're still in League One. We got beat 4-0 at home by MK Dons last season. It's the same scoreline with a very, very similar game. It is only 3 points. It is only early in the season. And so we moved on. And I mean, jokingly, there was loads of people on Facebook saying, we're playing, deliberately reversing it and playing it. It was Everton's under 12s, which was quite amusing because I was like, when they ran out on the pitch, I thought, well, they do look like under 12, some of them, although they were tall. But they were a good test, Joel, a very good test. They had pace all over the pitch. They had good first touch, and the movement was good.
Yeah, I think the commentator on iPhone, I think he mentioned that they're unbeaten in their under 23s or whatever league it is this season. So yeah, they're under 12s. Yeah, sorry, yeah. So they've got some, they've got some good players. You can see that. I think one of them's been touted, a couple of them probably been touted for loan spells and stuff. And yeah, like you say, they're kind of what you expect from academy players. They're technically very, very good. They can most of them can carry the ball really well. They're quick. They're doing interesting things with their movement and tactically try and pull you apart. At the same time, I think what we were able to do, and I think what you see other football league sides are able to do in this competition is maybe kind of jump on a bit of the naivety first when we've pinched it from them in the back. And I think next to Caleb, they've managed to let Caleb Watts, who's our shortest player, get a header in the box, and then Big Farron Rawson, him versus a under 21s keeper. I think there's only going to be one winner there, isn't there? Yeah, I think we kind of saw the best of both worlds. And on the flip side, they're technically very good. They beat a man on a couple of occasions for the goals. But yeah, I think overall it was nice to see some good performances from people. I think Caleb Watts is somebody that has been mentioned quite a lot and deservedly so. He really grew into the game. I think he started impressively, but as it went on, you could see he was kind of finding his feet a bit more because he's not had loads and loads of game time. So having that whole 90 minutes in the tank would have been really valuable, I'm sure, because by the end, I'd say the last 15, 20 minutes, he was just beating his man every time he got the ball. It was really fantastic to watch and show that's a good intention. And same for Kieran Phillips as well, obviously, coming in first full 90 for us. I think he showed a really good kind of predatory striker's nose and some of the positions he was taking up and the kind of the runs in behind and dragging defenders around. So yeah, I think there were lots of positives there to come from that game. And
it was an exciting game to watch as well from that point of view. I mean, obviously 3 apiece. There's plenty of goal action. I thought on the benefit of the first half was definitely in our favour, Donald. I thought we could have maybe had 3 or 4 in that first half.
Yeah, I thought we looked very good first half with obviously Caleb coming in off the left. He's a clever player, and Kieran's obviously, you mentioned his movement. He stretches the play a lot and leaves the space for the creative players behind him to get on the ball and get turned and get at defences. And I think we played a lot of good football on the night, and definitely right. We could have been 3-4 up and going in at half time, but 2-1, and I just think it was a good game in general because they're always a bit different, them games when you play the 21s, because they always try and play a lot of quite expansive football, and obviously that's where Jensen's goal came from, because sometimes in our league they might not risk that ball, they'll hit the channel or something, but them centre-backs they're still learning the game, and that's what they'll try and do, and they're getting told to do, and Jensen obviously pounced on it and got a good goal.
And looking at the attendance the other night, Rod, somebody's quite rightly pointed it out, and I checked it, and it's right. And the fact that we had a night game in League Two when we got less than that against Colchester in League Two, so that was nearly 1,000 for what most people, as I've already said, Everton under 12s. It's not the most attractive of fixtures, and yet we had over 900 people paying on the night. A beautiful summer's evening as well, and a great game.
Yeah, I think it was a tremendous game. And going back to what Donald was saying then, games like that, individual performances, it breeds confidence as well. It isn't just about that. It isn't just about that game. It's about, lads getting minutes under the belt and performances, and that confidence grows and hopefully, goes into the next game. From a attendance point of view, I think it was excellent. It hasn't captured the imagination of the football fan, has it? In whatever guise this competition's been in, it's not really until you get to the maybe quarter semi-finals. It doesn't seem to turn people on. So, yeah, I think it was a decent game. It was all you'd want really, and again a great penalty shootout for us.
And you've done my segue for me there, because I was just going to come to that, because I didn't do it. I haven't had time to do any research, but I wanted to see who were the best penalty takers in European club history and World Cup history, and I didn't get time to do it. But looking at us, Joel, we look. Although bizarrely, the only person to miss, and I'm sure he got some stick for it, was Dylan Connolly, who takes our penalties. With apparently that penalty's still in orbit. It's joined Chris Waddle from Italia 90 going round in geostationary orbit. But some very cool penalties, including young Mayer, who came on as sub, and had absolutely no quite. Yeah, I'll take one. Bang. Get in. Thank you very much.
Excellent penalty.
I was like,
He should have been shoving his way in ahead of Dylan, really, shouldn't he? But I think Dylan's joined somewhere roughly where Morgan Fox's was for Stokes. But no, I think Dylan just looked really, really tired when he went to take it, and sometimes your legs get a bit heavy, and it happens, doesn't it? But aside from, we know he's a really good penalty taker, but you miss him sometimes, don't you? But I just I'm amazed at how coolly everybody's taking it. Everybody's taking it like a penalty taker instead of just thinking, oh crap, I better wallop this as hard as I can in the corner and just hope for the best. Like everybody's taking it with a little bit of eyes, a little bit of a dummy, a little bit of a sell on the keeper. So yeah, it's good to see. And obviously, Donald, that's another one in you have one in Stoke, didn't you? And one the other night, sorry. So yeah, really good to see. Yeah,
from a point of view, did he ask for volunteers, or did you all stick your hands up, or just think? Because obviously, when it went to sudden death, it's like, well, you're all going to be taking one at the rate we're going.
Yeah, we knew who the first 5 were, but then after that, it was because we weren't sure even on the pitch whether it was just the way the competition worked, whether it's just 5 penalties.
Yeah,
we weren't sure about that, but then obviously the lads went up after that, and then they all put them away, and obviously Dylan got a bit of stick, like you said, but. He's usually our main man to take them, but he took it well, to be fair, and he was just happy we got the win on the night.
And I think we all were. And like I say, some of the Everton lads, given their age, they took some fantastic penalties as well. But the usual format for Morecambe in this competition, apart from, I think it's probably one season when we got to the Northern semi-final, final.
Grimsby. Oh my god, that broke my heart. I was about 9-10 years old.
Yeah, that's right. And we went to Grimsby, and it was one of the most intimidating atmospheres I've ever seen in my life. Given it was at the time, it was the JPT Trophy or whatever it was, and it was like a sellout at Grimsby, and they were rabid that night, Rod, weren't they?
Absolutely, it is a very intimidating place to go. There is no doubt about it. And we've had some strange experiences. Fish and chips are good, David. Always good. But but beyond that, it's not the easiest place to go.
But great to start with a win. Have we keep us up to date, Rod? It used to be, but I'm sure it changed. It used to be 10 grand for a win and the extra point for winning on penalties. Or do you how does it work when you're playing an under 21s?
It's just the same. It's a bonus point. You get 1 point for the penalty win, and you get 5 grand instead of 10. So
yeah, I knew it had gone down. A couple of people were quoting that 10 grand, and I thought, I'm sure it changed to about 7 last season, and it's gone down again this season.
5. No, I think it was 5 last year. I think it was.
Oh, there you go. So well, thanks for clearing that up. But always nice, and like I say, we've got the H's, haven't we? We've got Hartlepool and Harrogate to come, so that could be fun. Meeting with our
David. I didn't need an H in any of that. Then it was Harrogate.
I'm Northern. I'm Harrogate.
Yeah. Well, you looking at you look like you sat in the middle of Sainsbury's car park at the moment, pal.
Well, yeah. Well, that's for Donald. That's our old ground, which is now that end is actually Sainsbury's. It's not the car park, but that is the home end.
I thought you were the farm then.
It looks like a farm. So it does actually, yeah. Well, that's what it felt like. They knocked that down in 1985, just for those. And it took about two blokes in the sledgehammer 20 minutes, didn't it, Rod?
Can't possibly comment, David.
You basically tapped it, and the rust fell, and everything dropped to bits. But there you go; these things happen. So, moving on, I want to chat a bit about the window now, because obviously It closes tonight at 11 o'clock. Is that right? We've got 3 hours left, Rod. So there's still time. We could go in for Aubameyang.
Hang on, my phone's going.
Yeah, I'm trying to build this up like they do on Sky Sports with, somebody stood at Manchester Airport or somebody stood outside Main Road, and it's me stood outside in Sainsbury's car park going, no, we're not signing anymore. But
well, it's not as simple as that. As the gaffer said, I think yesterday or this morning, it could be 1 in, 1 out, and it very possibly could be 1 in, 1 out. Can't say any more than that at the moment, but it's going to be watch this space.
Well, all I'm going to say is that was one of my favorite. Our old assistant manager, Kenny, used to do that a lot. He used to point at players on the pitch and go like that. And I always thought that means 1 in, 1 out, doesn't it? That. So there you go. I'll use that one. So there could be some movement. That's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, obviously,
there'll definitely be movement, David. Definitely.
So by the time you listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, and children, and players on the coach, you might have a new member of staff. So there you go.
Absolutely.
I'll say no more. Just a quick congratulations to one of our facilitators for this here podcast is Ryan Daly, who has announced that he's achieved himself a really good position at Manchester City as one of the media team there, which obviously is a fantastic thing for him because he's from Manchester. So congratulations to him. And I just want to publicly thank him for all he's done to help us set up this podcast, because we've set this up probably about 15 months ago, just coincidentally, just as Ryan was coming for interview at the club. So, and he's been invaluable in getting press ganging people like Donald to come on when they don't want to come on. Although apparently Don was quite keen for some bizarre and strange reason, but there you go. So thank you, Ryan, and good luck with that. And I hope if his replacement happens to be listening, thinking I'll apply for that job, then carry on the good work. Yeah, keep players coming our way.
David, it will be a tough job as well because he could be touring all over Europe. The lad's earned it, and I've every respect for him. But if he ever has to go into a swimming pool and show his Man United tattoo that he's got, it could be an interesting session.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and if they ever do that, he'll be like, "Oh no, I can't swim. I guarantee it."
Well, it'll be sink or swim, won't it? Because somebody might drown him.
Yeah, funny. It's a good point. Well made. Right. Well, anyway, so we'll come to our guest, Donald. Probably the most illustrious juniors you can sign for is Man United, isn't it? So that must have been a fantastic. When they signed you as how old when you went there?
About 6. When you do the development centre, and then about 6, 7.
Dear Lord,
Long time ago.
I know, and you ended up there. Well, obviously 8, 9 years, wasn't it? In the end?
So I think till I was 21 I left.
Bloody hell, that's even longer than I thought.
I know, long
Dear
time.
me. I'm surprised you're not part of the furniture. Dear me. That's amazing. But obviously, from that point of view, you had some loan spells, and then you went to Sunderland, and from that point of view, you've played in all these competitions and all different divisions, and then strangely you ended up at not strangely, but you ended up at Salford, and obviously Salford, decent club, big connections to Man United, so it's hardly a surprise. But how did you end up then signing for Morecambe this summer? Was it just purely Greg Strong, or was it you thinking, yeah, I'll have a go at this because it's a league higher, or was it a combination of both, or what?
Well, obviously I was out of contract. I got offered a contract off Salford, and then obviously you don't sign stuff straight away. That's the way football is now. And then obviously spoke to Greg, and I didn't really have a position at Salford. I was always centre mid, right mid. I moved around a lot, and I've always predominantly been a right back. And the chance to come and play right back in League One, Morecambe came up, and straight away I was like, 100% I want to come and play for Morecambe and play right back, or right wing back, wherever. They're my two.
Just gonna say,
they're my two where they're similar anyway. So it's not like I was just moving around a lot last year, and it was like I did enjoy it, but I just wanted to get a base now where I could go and express myself and show people what type of player I am and what I can do. And hopefully I can come here and hopefully I've done well so far, and hopefully I can carry that on.
Right. Well, I'm going to scupper you now, because tell me where you came on Tuesday night.
No, that was left back, but
So Derek obviously thought, well, Derek has he has a want to do this. We had Greg Lee playing right back last year, who was a left back, and Ryan Cooney playing left back, who's a right back. Yeah. And now he's got you as a right back playing left back. I'm going to see Gibbo at centre forward and get a Bristol Rovers. The way we're going.
It's one of them, innit, where you can, if the manager asks you to go and do a job, you'll go and do it, and you'll do it to the best you can. And that's what. Hopefully, I can go back to right back. But if he asks me to do a job, anyway, I'll go and do it for him. So.
I think he put you on there knowing it was going to be penalties. I think that's what.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. So obviously, it's always difficult with being a footballer. It's transient, isn't it? You have so many different teammates for like 12 months or 2 years, and sometimes they change all in the summer and you end up with a new squad. Sometimes you move, but also the one thing that I found out, we've had people on before, is that you always know people from who were there already. So when you came in here, who did you know, and did you think, oh God, they're a nightmare, or
This is the first place I've come where I didn't know anyone.
Did you not?
No, I didn't know any, and then until Connor Ripley signed, obviously from his loan at Salford last year. But then I've played against. I knew I've played against Dylan before. That was it really. I hadn't really played against anyone. I didn't really know.
So because you didn't hate anybody or anything like that, you thought, I can sign for Morecambe.
It was a complete fresh start for me. I couldn't.
Yeah, and then we signed Connor, and you thought, oh God, no, I want to go back to Salford.
I was buzzing when we signed Connor, because obviously I knew what he's like, and he's quite a big character, isn't he? So he's a funny lad, and
he's a goalkeeper. What do you expect? He's part of the goalkeepers union, isn't he, Joel?
Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so.
He's a complete nut job.
Yeah, it's a bit mad, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, but we love him because obviously, he's, like you say, I think you put it better than we could, actually, a big character.
Yeah.
Both senses of the word. Very much.
It's great lad to have in the changing room.
But the other side of it, what's obviously we've signed, how many have we signed, Joel, altogether? Probably about 10 or 11, isn't it?
Yeah, around about the 10 mark,
about 10 or 11. I mean, how long does it take you to gel? Do you? I know you're on a coach, and who do you room with when you're away?
I get my own room. A lot of the lads share, but I get my own room. Yeah, I like my own room when I go away.
All right, okay.
But we all sit and have dinner together, and watch the game on the Friday night, and all chill out together, and as a team. And some people go to room, but it's just preferences and what people.
Yeah.
Do. But
so what's the mood like in the camp? Because obviously, from our point of view, we see us week in, week out. We come to the games, and we watch the team, and we can see slowly but surely that you are gelling on the field. But what's it like off the field?
No, we've got a really good change room. We've just had everyone gets on with each other, and we're always having a laugh in that, like what in the change room and stuff. And there's never really a quiet day where we're coming in and it's like no one's really speaking. It's always lively in the change room, and everyone's spirits are high. But everyone knows we've had the games we've had at the start of the season have been tough, and no one's worried about us not winning a game, because no one's really looked at that, because it's still early. You look at the games we've had, and we should have won at least 2 of them. I think Fleetwood and Shrewsbury could have easily got something from. Bolton away, we could have got a draw.
Yeah. And
then there's only the 2 games, MK Dons and Peterborough away, are the ones where we were a bit like, Peterborough was our first away game, and we let a few sloppy goals in. MK Dons a few sloppy goals, but every other game's been a good game where we could have got some. We went to Oxford and got something away where we should have. Yeah. Oxford scored a corner from a sloppy bouncing around, which you don't really see Oxford scoring them goals. You usually see them. Yeah. I don't think they've caught us open all game, and that's just what happens in football. But if you look at the start we've had, it's been a tough start, and I think when we start playing more teams who are more who should be more in and around us, that's the ones where we've got to go. And like Fleetwood, we could have been 3-4-0 up at half time.
True, yeah.
Then went 1-0 up and finishes 1-1, but it's the way it goes. And you look at that game, and I don't think no one should be losing confidence just because we got beat 4-0 off. We've gone and beat Stoke and Rotherham.
Yeah, true.
Which I think we've had a lot of games this month, and I think now we'll be refreshed going into the game Saturday. And a few of the lads got rested and that on obviously last minutes on Tuesday, which means we can go again on Saturday where we can go full throttle at them.
So looking at my final question before I hand you on to Joel. So coming back to the Everton game, obviously there were a lot of changes, but a lot of people got valuable minutes, like we've already been said, Caleb Watts, Ryan Cooney, Kieran Phillips. And that's got to be good for the squad, that everybody's we've only got a small squad anyway, so everybody's keeping involved and everybody's keeping, it only takes a daft slip and a daft injury, and all of a sudden, as we found out with Max Melbourne, it's Ash Hunter, they're out for 8 weeks and 12 weeks between them, and all of a sudden that person who's been sat on the bench for 3 games, he's like, my chance, and you've got to take it, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a long season. Everyone's going to be needed at different parts of the season, and people in the team, people change form goes up and down during the season. So, obviously, it was great for Caleb to have a good game because obviously you see him in training every day, but it's just obviously he's not really been on loan before. He got injured when he was at Croydon last year, so he's still getting used to how league football works compared to the difference between reserve football. And I think he'll be a good player once he gets used to it. And obviously you can see how good he was the other night. And we've got a few young players who, once they get used to it and how we play, it's going to be a good long season, I think. And
well, the thing is, I agree with you, particularly on Jensen. He is very young, but he's a good unit, and he's already shown that he's quite comfortable at this level. And so, answer me this: Caleb Watts, is he a nightmare at training to try and stop?
Yeah, he's small and stocky, isn't he? And obviously, training you tackle, but you don't tackle the way you do in a game. And sometimes he goes past you, and you're just like for God's sake, But no, he's obviously it's good to see him doing well the other night, and it's good if he involved Saturday now. He could come on, and his confidence will be high. And like I said, everyone's going to be needed at different parts of the season, and hopefully we can go and be more positive. Yeah,
I hope so too. Joel, Don's all yours.
Yeah, just coming back to the Man United Academy days, because obviously a lot of things get said about those academies, but what, from your point of view, what were kind of like the advantages that you might have gotten for that, and maybe some of the disadvantages from that experience?
I don't think there's many disadvantages to being at Man United. It was, I think, obviously I just took it. You don't really think about it when you're younger. You just playing your football, and then it doesn't really it gets more serious when you obviously get your scholarship at 16. And then when you get to the reserves, it gets more serious. And I think it was just the positives of the values of that club when we were growing up. Obviously, Alex Ferguson was there, and I remember Brian McClare was academy manager, and it was like you could only wear black boots. It was like nothing. It didn't like any of the fanciness, and it was just the values of the club was like. Just you used to see other clubs copying what Man United did with the black boots, and you wouldn't even like socks over knees. You wouldn't no Under Armours. It was just go out there, play your football, don't think about anything else, and work hard and see what you can do. And I think it just sets you in good stead growing up.
It's quite interesting to hear that, because obviously, like, I think something that springs to mind might be an advantage from a big Premier League academy is stuff like the technical and the tactical work you probably do. But it's interesting to hear you kind of speak about the kind of the values and the kind of the work ethic that you get from it.
Yeah, I think I think you see a lot of lads come through United who are now still playing the game, and I think that comes from when you were younger, just setting your ways, and it's just good to see that. I think it sets you in good stead for growing up, and you don't get you're at Man United. They'd never let anyone get ahead of themselves, and even if you were doing well, it'd be like you still need to be working hard, working on your weaknesses, working on your strengths, focusing on your football, and they'd leave it so there was no excuses off the pitch. You could just focus on everything on the pitch, which was good.
So kind of coming through on the pitch a little bit, obviously you break through quite early into the team. So with your first Premier League game, I think you were 17, weren't you? Is that right?
No, I was 20, I think.
20. Oh, bloody hell, my
Yeah.
math. Well,
Yeah.
my math is terrible then. but oh god. But anyway, yeah. So, but you're still coming in at quite a young age, making your debut in quite big circumstances. You know, coming on in the first half, I think it was against Sunderland. What was that like? Kind of coming on in such a big occasion.
I think it helped coming up because I think it was Darmian who went down injured, and it was the first time I was on the bench. So I was like, I think it helped coming on so early because I was just sat there watching the game, and it was like, you know, in the second half you more expect to come on, but because it happened so quickly, it was just like, right, get on, and we scored before we scored before I even touched the ball, so it was like I could just relax and play my game then, and no, it was good. It was good, yeah.
So, talking of relaxing and playing your game, obviously, because it was the game was against Sunderland, yeah. And lo and behold, a few months later, you must have made a bit of a good impression because they've gone and signed you. So yeah, what was that like? Kind of did they say like we were impressed with how you played in that game, or how did that come about?
No, it was more because Sam Allardyce was in charge when I played that game, but then David Moyes just gone in, who was obviously I knew a little bit of from when he was at United, because we'd go up and train with them sometimes. So obviously he knew a little bit about me and stuff. And then obviously that just came about because it just came about through obviously the way transfers work now. Obviously managers know players and watch clips and stuff. And obviously the Man United connection with Sunderland was quite big at the time with a lot of players going there. And it just came about how normal transfers come about, yeah.
So when you went there, because obviously it was alongside Paddy McNair, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For a bit of a fee as well. So when you come in as quite a young player for a big fee and quite a big fan base as well, somebody like Sunderland, where you know they're quite feverish as fans. They, you know, it's such a big thing up there. So does that put on a lot of pressure, or did you feel much pressure going there?
Every game you always put a bit of pressure on yourself anyway. Personally, just to go out there, obviously nerves and that you want to go and do well, but. It was a bit of pressure, yeah, but no one ever puts more pressure on you than yourself. And you just want to go out there and you put the pressure on yourself by wanting to go and do well. But even at Morecambe, players put pressure on themselves because you want to go and do well you want to go and win every game. And it's just pressure that you don't feel more. It's just pressure. You just hear the fans more, obviously, because obviously there's a lot more of them, but the way yeah.
So kind of coming out of Sunderland, obviously you've gone on and you've played well with Sunderland as well, but you've played across all 4 leagues. So I just wondered what your kind of take on what the main differences are kind of between that kind of top Premier League level and League Championship, League One, League Two. Is it kind of a technical, physical, or mental thing, or is it something different?
I think Premier League's a lot more tactical and obviously different. You got the foreign players but then obviously the Championship's quite similar now with the big teams down there, and I think there's not much difference between League One and Two. The way obviously there's massive teams in League One now, and it's good to play against them, and hopefully we get a few scalps this season. And it's just good to play against League One and League Two. Is not much difference because the style of football is not much. Obviously the big teams have to come to the small grounds, and the small teams have to go to the big grounds. And it's just the way it is, and you just get sucked into how other teams play and stuff. But I think it's just more tactical the higher you go up, but that's the way it is. And obviously the game's a lot quicker, but that's just the way it is naturally, yeah.
Oh yeah, and kind of looking at players across all 4 leagues and kind of going back to what we were speaking about at the start at Man United, obviously there's a lot of kids coming through then, and I imagine when you first joined there, your aim is I want to play for Man United, but for you and the rest of the lads there, like at what point do you start maybe thinking, looking away at other kind of moves and what might be available and where you might kind of settle down to play football elsewhere?
Well, when I was there, it was just my whole aim was just play for Man United. That was all I knew growing up. And then you get to reserve level, and Warren Joyce was my reserve manager, and you start seeing lads go out on loan, and then you're like, you'll train with the first team every now and then you just know when it's like right for you to go out on loan, and then I went to Wigan and then got a few games there, and then Man United got a few injuries, then I got recalled, and then that's when I made my debut. And then you just know when your time's up at a club, or when your time to go on loan. Players just know this, and there's no point in getting ahead of yourself. It's just the way it is, and that was my aim growing up. I didn't really think about anything else, because it was just like, I just want to play for Man United. But that's because I was at Man United. So it was like, if I was at Everton, my aim would have been, I want to play for Everton. So it's like them lads the other night, their aim will be to play for Everton first team, and then that's what you work towards.
Very interesting. Yeah, back over to you, Freeze. Cheers, Don.
No worries.
So we've got an away game coming up to Bristol Rovers. And I want to chat a little bit about, first of all, obviously, they had a fantastic end to the season. The run from January right to the end of the season. But obviously, I want to talk about their manager, because he divides opinions, Rod, doesn't he?
Certainly a colourful character, isn't he? But I mean, we've the one thing about Saturday, we must not take our foot off the gas. That is the first thing.
Oh, very good. Yes. See what you did there. See what you did there. You're fooling me, That's nearly as bad as last week's, where I'll just fill you in on this one, Don. Last week, Rod he spent 5 minutes asking the question, where do you see Jensen Weir playing? And we all answered it with a serious answer, and he went, well, I just see him as a Jensen interceptor. Go on, Rod.
Don't know what even one of them is.
It's a car. He knows it's a car.
No, I know what it is.
So yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a Marmite character, isn't he?
He is. I mean, obviously, he did a pretty good job at Fleetwood as well, didn't he? Nearly got the playoffs a couple of times. So
yeah, he did. But he's passionate about his job. He gets bad press from time to time. Does he bring it on himself? I don't know. I mean, it was interesting when he was at the Mazuma, and his mind was in the tunnel with him. You think, what is going on here? The safety officer wasn't particularly enamoured by all that. But hey, you need characters in football. You Steve Evanses. You need characters, and fair play to him.
And there's a couple of our old boys who are doing particularly well for them. In Anthony Evans, who we had on loan from Everton before he went to Germany, and he's come back and done very well for them as a sort of attacking midfielder. And of course, the man who I always say we resurrected his career in Aaron Collins, who again came to us after a disappointing time at Wolves and reinvigorated, as Jim Bentley was wont to do at the time with Richie Bennett and other players. Come to us, have a really good 3 months on loan, finish the season, and then get a contract elsewhere, Joel.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, that second half of the season when Aaron Collins came, he was very, very impressive. And we were looking a little bit in January when he came in, but then things turned around, and that was, largely, that was helped by him quite a lot with a couple of late goals as well initially, and then things got rolling. But yeah, they look like they've recruited relatively well. I remember I went to see Bristol Rovers at the start of last season, so when they were being quite bad and kind of hovering around the relegation zone. And honestly, I thought they were awful. I thought it was actually against Derek's Bradford side. I thought they were absolutely terrible, and I just couldn't believe this kind of this side they turned into to kind of end the season. No, they got a last minute equaliser. Yeah, it was very jammy. They really didn't deserve it. But
the point that got them up.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that little Brett Pittman header after Jan Songo lost his man. Sorry, Jan, at the back post. But yeah, no, it was. It did surprise me a little bit that they turned it round. But then obviously we've seen what's going to gone down the last day against a Scunthorpe side who basically just given up. Let's be honest, they were all over the place. But
if we ever get Ryan Delaney on, we can ask him.
I just realised I hope that doesn't get fed back to.
I mean, that was some last goal swing, wasn't it? That we only need. Yeah, exactly. We only need, what did they need? 9.
It was 8 or something like that.
8 or something, wasn't it? They needed 8, but it was 7, and then obviously I think Northampton scored, didn't they? So they needed 8, and it was like, oh god. I mean, it was just incredible. But the thing about Bristol Rovers, obviously, play at the Memorial Stadium. It's a difficult place to go because obviously it's very, very close to the pitch, and they're quite vociferous there. They're quite, they're quite fervent. They're not, I think Bristol City are the ones who clap and applaud nicely, but Bristol Rovers, they're all a bit, pirates and all that. So it's a difficult place to go, Don. Although I have to say that from the first time we went there about 10, 12 seasons ago, the pitch has improved immensely. We should be able to play football on it.
Yeah, I remember going there. I was Salford last year, and the pitch was really good.
Yeah.
We got beat 1-0, but I remember the pitch was really good. That was towards the end of the season. The pitch was in really good.
They've done a lot of work on it.
Yeah. So hopefully we can go and play well on it.
Well, it's early days, isn't it?
Yeah.
And our record there is, well, we've had some good wins there. I remember winning 3-1 once, and I think Nick Fenton scored. And then I can remember season after somebody getting sent off after 20 minutes and getting holding out until 5 minutes from time and then losing, etc., etc., etc. That's just the way it is with the Gas. But they've had an interesting start to the season, so they've kept it, up and down, up and down. So it's funny because we went into the MK Dons game and lots of people were saying, well, they're with us near the bottom, but I think we always knew they were in a bit of a false position, don't you, Joel?
Yeah, well, I mean, I watched them. I didn't think they were in that vulnerable position. I thought they were really quite bad, to be honest. But yeah, obviously, maybe I just caught them on a particularly bad day. But yeah, like they've turned it around in the second half of the season for a reason. So we'll have to see. But just looking at some of the numbers, they like to move. It looks like they're kind of. I know it's early days, but it looks like they kind of like to move it around on the deck. It looks like they've been quite clinical as well. So yeah, maybe that might drop off a little bit. Hopefully, it does today, and obviously we're due to took a few more chances away, so hopefully we can kind of get that bit of a swing come Saturday.
There's just my tip, just let's work on the one-on-ones because we're creating a one-on-one in every game, but we haven't bloody scored one yet, Don.
I know we're due a few more goals, aren't we? But that'll come with confidence, and obviously we'll hopefully create some more.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. We've been creating chances. That's not been the problem. It's been putting the bleeding things away, hasn't it? So when you travel down tomorrow, do you train anywhere on the way, or?
We'll train in the morning and then travel straight after training. Yeah, have lunch and then travel.
Right, sound. So obviously, Derek will come up with a plan.
Yeah.
And usually, Derek, as we know, Derek is usually quite specific about how to stop teams, but how to get at them is just like do your own thing, which is quite nice, isn't it, really? Yeah,
it gives you that freedom to go out there, and he does work on how we can get at teams and what we can do to. He'll look at their weaknesses and what we can do to where we can exploit them. But like you said, we've been very solid this year, apart from 2 games, and hopefully we should go there and definitely go more solid than last weekend. I can tell you that, but. I don't even think we weren't even that solid last weekend. We just conceded silly goals, which we've not been doing. No. And I think we'll definitely try to get back on track this weekend, 100%. I mean, that does happen. We've seen it happen to sort of like, quite a few Premier League teams this season already have had shot results. Yeah. And so it does happen. And, there is no panic button to press as yet, because the simple fact is, you just a couple of wins and you're sort of safe mid-table. There's no problem, is there? No, I said to a few of the boys on the day after the game, Sunderland last year, they went to Bolton, got beat 7-0, and they still went up. And it's just like, it happens in football. You just have days where you're just a bit off it, and then it's just swing. Like we beat Rotherham midweek, and then you go and lose to MK Dons. It's just like we beat a champ team midweek. So we had the confidence going to the game. It's just an off day. And then it's just that they happen in football. We just need to go and put things right on Saturday and forget about it. And I think the lads have. Everyone's positive, so make sure we go and get a good result.
I think, Donald, that's why we all love it, isn't it? Because if it was so predictable all the time, we wouldn't be it.
It's up and downs with football, isn't it? It's just the way it is. And hopefully we have more ups and downs, and that's what we want. You're only as good as your last game, but if you had a bad last game, you always look forward to the next one. Yeah, definitely. If you have a bad game, you want the next one to come even quicker. But It's the way footy, isn't it? You can be bloody the best things inside sliced bread one week, and then all the best have bad games. It's just putting them mistakes behind you and going again and forgetting about it.
Well, I'm going to come to Rod now. Obviously, we know we've issued our congratulations to Ryan. It gives the club a problem, but us being League One now, we'll be, a little bit higher profile than we've ever been before in our league career, particularly. So the quality of candidates should be quite high, Rod, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I would think it will be. And I've got to say, just to reinforce, I think Ryan's done a tremendous job with Matt alongside as well. I think they've raised the bar, and it should attract some, quality candidates. And I would think it will do. And
that in itself will make it easy to appoint somebody, although harder to pick one.
Well, we've been through this over the past year or two, haven't we? We've grown the staff base. We've tried to, become more professional as we had to do. Something had to give somewhere down the line because, people like me, Court and myself and Graham couldn't continue like that. It was, and I think we have improved it massively. Can you just make a point of what Don said before? He said, you play a good game, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I've got to say, if you play a bad game, you're toast.
Oh yeah. I often wonder what we'd do without you, Rod. I really do. And then I realise and think I can't say
it. Yeah. David, on a serious point, well, two things. You mentioned Aaron Collins before, but over the past few seasons, we've had Aaron, we've had Reece Oak, we've had Paul Mullin, and we've got decent, performances out of those guys, and they've all gone on and done really well. What I want to bring up is really we get pilloried a little bit because of maybe budget or size of squad or whatever. You are limited with SCMP, which is salary cost management protocols in the Football League. Yeah. And you can only spend a percentage of that on your playing budget, a percentage of your turnover. So we're striving all the time. Ben Sadler, Martin Thomas are striving all the time to improve income and are doing that, but it isn't as simple as people put their hand in their pocket and go and get X, Y, and Z. You've got to remain within those protocols, and it's a very, very tough line to follow at times. So I just want to, to bring that to the attention of people. It's not that we don't want to do certain things, but we have limitations on what we can do at a certain time.
So to just go back and reiterate, there could be one move out, one move in. I'm going to get cheeky. Are we expecting it to be Cole? Is somebody nicking your car, by the way?
Whose car?
Yours outside. It's going.
No, it's one of the daughters departing.
All right. Okay.
I couldn't possibly comment, could I, David? With what time is it now? 8 o'clock, 8:30. It's not for me to say. I'm not even going to go there.
Well, by the time people listen to this, they'll know who it is anyway. So
yeah, but I don't want you going on Shrimp's Voices after this and bloody,
No, I never do. I never do. To be honest, there's only 6 people go on there.
Yeah, and they moan.
Exactly. So
I think all I would say to you is on a number of fronts. One is the window closing and some movement there, and the other one is there will be a very interesting announcement tomorrow from the board, and just keep your eyes peeled or your ears back or whatever you do.
I was going to say, if you were going to use the cliche of keep your ear to the ground, you ended up listening to Dog Muck, so I wouldn't do that. But there you go. Anything from the trust, Joel?
Not too much. Obviously, we've got the Memorial Garden, kind of that spot's been identified. Obviously, the trust have met with the club, and there's been a few things that have been discussed there. We did have a meeting last night. I wasn't able to make it, unfortunately, but that was kind of a discussion of roles and who's going to be taking on what. So I think, and obviously nothing's been kind of put into properly into place yet. But yeah, we're looking to put in a few more things. Go on, Rod. Sorry.
Are you going to say I like a cheese roll?
I would also say bacon, actually.
I'm way ahead of you. Way ahead of you. Sorry, Joel's trying to get decent information out to these people listening to this, and me and you are thinking the same crap. So, so that's it. Sorry, Joel, to interrupt, but I knew when he put his hand up, he was going to say something facetious. So there you go.
No, that's about it, really. Yeah, just kind of divvying up roles. But there's a few new people on the board, obviously, this year. So yeah, just looking to do different things with that, really. Yeah,
that's what we need, a bit of fresh blood. That's great stuff. Well, this has been, how did we get to episode 6 so quickly? We're only in the first week in September. It's going so quickly, isn't it? But that is episode 6 of ShrimpNet. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Donald for coming on. Good luck on in the future. Great that you came on and gave us some honest answers. Rod, effervescent as always. We've got the sunset behind you, and it looks beautiful. Joel, keep up the good work. And all I'll say is, as usual, I haven't asked for any predictions today, because I say we're going to come away from the Memorial Ground with a surprise, cheeky away win, our first of the season. So fingers crossed I'm right. Thank you for listening. This has been ShrimpNet. Join us again next week. Thank you.